Hey, what's up everybody? Dalton Grados here. I just want to make this short video about improvisation and soloing for guitar players. So if you're a guitarist and you know a little bit about, soloing, you probably know your pentatonic scales. That's probably the first thing you learned when it came to scales and soloing. And you should have learned your 5 forms that kind of go all across the neck. And you know where your roots are, your major and minor roots in each key, so you can play all those in any key. And before I get into the topic of this video, I just want to say that pentatonic scales are awesome. Pretty much all your great guitar solos are based off of the pentatonic scale. I mean, your Stairway to Heaven, Led Zeppelin solo, Jimi Hendrix was all in the pentatonic scale. Stevie Ray Vaughan. All that stuff is purely pentatonic, so don't shy away from the pentatonic scales. Whenever you play your pentatonic scales, people who are not musicians think, wow, that's a great guitar player. The problem is with us as guitarists get bored of just playing in the same box shapes. And so what I want to talk about today is sort of breaking out of that pentatonic box with chromatics. And this kind of has come from a little bit of my own exploration, and after kind of watching a guy named Jacob Collier, you might have heard of him. He is an actual musical genius, not just like the 10-year-old kid whose mom thinks he's a genius. No, this guy's an actual genius. And if you go watch some of Jacob Collier's videos and kind of his theories on harmony and music theory, it's very fascinating. He talks at a very, very high level regarding music theory, but kind of the conclusion that I came to is basically you learn your basic music theory, right? You should know your major scales and keys and all that. But then once you start digging into the really advanced music theory and jazz and all that, well, basically if you get into that enough, you end up pretty much back at your chromatic scale. Every note is right somehow. There's an exception for everything, or a substitution, or so you pretty much just think, okay, well, I have the chromatic scale. And so with the chromatic scale, you have all of your notes, and what really matters is just where you land. So if I apply that to the pentatonic scales, I could be playing a good old pentatonic riff. Maybe I'll get it to crop in on closer on my fingers here. I could be playing a good pentatonic riff. Something like that. Now, I have this, good old blues box here. What if I flirted with this note in the middle? Now, that's not in the scale, but depending on where I'm going, I landed on that C, which is my root. I'm in the key of C, or A minor, relative major and minor. So that little chromatic note adds a little bit of flavor, and I could take it further. So that, I went back into my first form pentatonic, right? So I'm here. I went from here to here, which that's actually still in the scale. That's my F, but it's not in the pentatonic scale, but it's still in the major scale. It's not off key. So if I did, now that by itself kind of sounds maybe like a little exotic, right? A little jazzy, but depending on where I land could change the whole meaning of the lick. Right, I went right back into pentatonic mode where I landed. So basically, the concept that I want to illustrate here is stepping out of the box, using some chromatic licks, but using them tastefully to land back into your pentatonic world where all the notes are recognizable and you're in key, right? Does that make sense? So it doesn't necessarily matter what you play, it matters where you're going. And kind of going back to the Jacob Collier thing, he talks about harmony as a way of getting back home, right? So if C is my home, I could even go maybe in the first form, minor pentatonic. Right? It sounded kind of weird. But I'm back home now. Now I can stay in my pentatonic zone with all my recognizable licks. Everything kind of sounds predictable. And I throw in my little chromatic run there. And all I did was just hit every note. But then I made sure I landed back home. So, I hope you guys have fun with this. This is actually my first time posting an instructional video on my YouTube channel, which is kind of funny because teaching guitar is actually what I do for a living. I teach guitar students, face to face every single week. I've kind of reserved my YouTube channel for, videos of me playing, original songs, cover songs, all that stuff. But if you like this content, definitely let me know in the comments below. And I also just released a course on Udemy.com. It's called Music Theory Made Easy, and that just happened. I'm gonna kind of start making videos to sort of promote that a little bit in the coming weeks and months. But I just kind of felt like making this for fun. So let me know what you think of this type of content, if you enjoy it, and any questions or anything you might have in the comments below. And thanks for watching.